Aloha. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. If you could all find your seats, we're going to get started. If you could all find your seats, we're going to get started, and we're going to start with the opening pule.
E pule kako. E ko mako I loko kalani. O ino ko mako haku, ko mako manamau. O ino ka mei hana I kalani a me ka honua ke ia aina nei ke ia aina laa o Hilo. Ai olu oe e noho pume mako I ke ia wā halawai. E hoʻopiha ia mako pakahi me ko nui ike, me ko hoʻomanawa nui, me ko aloha kapu, me ko moa kaka piha. E koko ia mako e holo mua pono ma ke ala hele. No hoʻolokahi, no ko mako ʻaina, no ko mako ʻohana, no na hana ona e hiki mai ana. No laila hapai mako I ke lopuli a ʻoe mako I no manao Iesu. Amen.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I wanted to just start with some introductions. My name, I guess I should share, I forgot, is Kristen Reynolds, and I'm with One World, One Water, and I'll be the facilitator for this evening. So thank you all for coming. Just wanted to introduce you to the team. So we have a big team here tonight to support this work. Of course, we have Mayor Roth with us, as well as the Director of the Department of Environmental Management, Ramsey. And more staff as well. We have Kelly Hartman, Peter Sir, Tony Nakatani, Cisco Villa, Conrad Kaipo, Travis Marita, Alan Fukumizu, and John Doi, all from the Department of Environmental Management. So thank you all for your hard work taking care of our wastewater and showing up tonight. Thank you, mahalo. We also have our fearless engineers in the room. This evening, you'll hear from Carrie Ishida from Carollo Engineers, Adrian and Lance, also from Carollo Engineers. And we also have Ray, who's our local liaison consultant in the back here. Okay, so tonight we are here for the Cesspool Conversion public engagement meeting around the integrated wastewater management plan. So hopefully that's what you came for. And just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. So please, if you can, silence your phones. We're going to have some discussion towards the end of the meeting, and we'd ask that we have one person speak at a time and respect all differing viewpoints. Also, there are comment cards available to write down questions and thoughts. You should have seen those on the table when you came in, but if you didn't, you can raise your hand and a team member will bring some to you. Also, okay, we'll bring you some comment cards here. We're also going to hold all the questions till the end, so we're going to get through the presentation and then we'll leave time for questions. And when we do get to those, try to be brief so everyone has a chance to speak. For restrooms, they'll be through that hallway in the back and to the left. And then we have some water and snacks over here in the back as well. And we'll try to bring out more chairs, but if you need a chair, they're around. Okay, so this evening we will be sharing a little bit about water stewardship, and then we'll be sharing about cesspool conversions and the different conversion types as well as the costs. And then we're gonna share the timeline for this work in terms of public participation, and then end with some engagement activities and Q&A. And with that, I would like to invite Mayor Roth to come up and give a few words.
Aloha. I'll move away from the screen here. Thank you for being here tonight. You know, this is a beginning of conversations that we're having around the island. When we started looking about what our administration would be about, we took the word sustainability. Sustainability has a lot of meanings to a lot of different people. What it really means to me is the ability to allow our kids to raise their kids here in Hawaii. If you think about this, just a kind of a scary thought, we have more Hawaiian kids, more Hawaiians living out of the state than in the state right now. And as we lose our Hawaiians, we lose our culture. As we lose our culture, we lose our identity of who we are. And so we need to make sure that what we're doing is we're taking care of our Aina and taking care of our resources that we have, because that's one of the things that will keep our kids here. We look at things like housing, we look at things like quality jobs, but then, you know, you can have those things. Who wants to live in a place where you don't have an environment that we have right here? And so preserving that environment is very, very important to us. You know, one of the things that surprised me most taking this job was just how poor a shape our infrastructure is in. You know, we took that and we thought about all these different things that you'd be able to do, but infrastructure is one of the biggest issues. And we talk about our wastewater system, whether we're talking about our plants or we're talking about the 48 to 65,000 cesspools that need to be converted by 2025. All those have the ability to pollute our oceans and really make an impact. And unfortunately, these are not cheap fixes. I think there's a slide up here that comes up, and I think I understood the last time I saw this presentation that Puna alone, the fix is about $4 to $11 billion with a B. That's just for Puna. Think about that for a second. You know, the county has a budget. That budget, if you think about that budget, it's kind of like a pizza. We have like 12 pieces with, you know, 1,000 mouths to feed. And so it's not really easy. And this is not an easy problem that we're dealing with. And so that's why we're looking at solutions. And right from the very beginning, we want you to be part of that solution, be part of this discussion. So this is a beginning. It's not an end. I want to thank the staff that's here, especially our Department of Environmental Management crew. I know there's a lot of people from there. I see a lot of very familiar faces. I see former Mayor Harry Kim out in the audience over there, Daniel Lee, one of our engineers. I see our Managing Director, Deanna Sacco, our Councilwoman, our Council Chair, Heather Kimball, somewhere I saw her around. There she is, right in the back over there. I see our Civil Defense Head, Talmadge Magno. So this is just if you look at the people in this room, this is a significant problem that we all have to figure out how we solve before 2050. So without more, I'm going to invite Ramsey, our Department of Environmental Management Director, Ramsey Mansour, up to talk about some of the things that we're already doing. And I can tell you, the environment is big. We will probably spend more money on infrastructure at the Department of Environmental Management than any other department in the county for the next several years. So without more, I'll turn it over to Ramsey. Thank you. Enjoy the night.
Thank you, Mayor Roth, and thank all of you for coming in today. cesspools and wastewater is a very important topic, as Roth had mentioned. When we first started, that was our priority number one, and I want to thank the administration for their full support on focusing on this wastewater to make sure that environmentally we provide health and safety protection. So the Department of Environmental Management working on over the last 3 years, I want to thank staff as well. We short staff. So let me put it out now. We're recruiting for engineers and other wastewater staff. So please check our website because we have shortage. But currently we are very short of staff. But even with that, we were able to accomplish this list of projects I'm gonna go through, but I'm not gonna read every one of them, but at least you guys get a feel of the projects, because I'd rather leave more time to questions and answers, because I know I have a full room. So the biggest project really the county has taken over, it's the Hilo waste treatment plant. So this is going to be a big project. This is probably one of the biggest projects for the county ever. It's a huge project with a huge dollar figure attached to it. So this project is going to go out to bid in April. So within 2 months, we're going to put out the construction document to rehab the entire facility at the Hilo. And we anticipate this project is probably going to last 6 to 7 years for the duration of that project. So it's a huge project for the county, for even our staff. So we also have been working on the sewer collection. Tony's here. She's the supervisor that oversees all the collection system countywide. And Conrad, thank you guys for all the hard work. These are the people that respond to phone calls after hours, like midnight, 2 in the morning, when you guys have a sewer backup. And, there's a lot of projects right now. We've been televising, we've been cleaning to make sure that you guys don't have sewer backup for the people that connected to the sewer system. Kiava Street, as you all know, went through a construction. We were able to re-sewer all the businesses with new sewer laterals. So to ensure that everybody's connected to a better system that could last way longer than what we have. So currently, I don't want to go in detail on the AOC, but Pahala and Na'alehu, these are one of the other 2 biggest projects the county has been working on, and that's also is going to take a major resources, financial and staffing resources. We have 20 pipes comprising almost a mile, 0.8 miles that Tony and her staff did grouting. So we have the machine. Sometimes when we have earthquakes, some of these lateral pipes cracks, it settles. So her staff will go in with that machine and they try to grout the cracks to make sure that we don't have any wastewater infiltrating into the ground. The next slide. So some of the projects on the west side, Kalakaua waste treatment plant is as big as Hilo, but Hilo's gonna get a full rehab. Kalakaua, we're doing a few projects as well. It's very time consuming and staff consuming and financial as well. We're working on some force main replacement down LAE Drive. Before I forget, Hilo facility also, we connect in a force main, PUA force main. That also, it's a major project. It's gonna be part of the Hilo rehab within 6 to 7 years to make sure that all the wastewater get pumped to the new treatment plant so that crosses the current airport. And go ahead to the next slide, so you guys could see. This is kind of oversight view of the Hilo facility. This is what we currently have. So to kind of give you an idea of the components that we're gonna replace and rehab. So this is the current, just kind of give visual, vision of it. And next slide, Carrie. So this is the new 3-dimensional facility that's gonna be constructed over the next 6 to 7 years. So we're gonna replace the major component that you've seen in the prior slide were corroded, non-functional infrastructure with the new infrastructures. Hopefully we'll have a new digesters, these circular, I don't know if we have a pointer, but anyway, could you point on one? Okay, Carrie. These are the new digesters that we, it's gonna be bid out in April. So we're gonna have a new infrastructures, a new structure of buildings that's gonna be housing all the equipment, mechanical equipment, to be able to provide for the treatment for these digesters. And we have the solid control building, which is the biggest building you see in there. That will take the sludge out of these digesters and dries it out, and potentially that sludge could become compost, but we need to team up with other vendors trying to see how we could capture that sludge. This project doesn't get us to the composting and trying to create something useful out of the biosolid, but now with this project, we're gonna be able to dry it out and to a quality that maybe we could start using it for composting. And we got odor control on the odor control. So we put in, the current odor control system is not working, so we're replacing it. We put in a new odor control to make sure that we prevent the odor from the hydrogen sulfide, rotten egg smell. So that all is going to be captured within this odor control and going to be treated before it released to the atmosphere. And also we had our major component is the headwork, which is, that's the mouth of the flow as it comes in. Currently, the plan is designed for about 6 MGD to max of 8.3 MGD. Currently, we run at 50%, about 2.5 to 3 million gallons per day. So we have enough capacity at this plan to convert about 5,000 cesspool within the sphere of influence of that treatment plan. With that, talking about cesspool conversion and the amount of cesspool conversions that we could accommodate to stay within the capacity of the plan, because that plan is designed to a certain capacity. So with that, I'll hand it to our consultant. She's doing the cesspool conversion plan study, the integrated wastewater management plan. These two plans will give us a roadmap for the entire county to be able to plan ahead. So from these two plans, we could extract policies and procedures that could assist and help our communities. With that, I'll turn it to Dr. Ishida.
Thank you, Ramsey. Please call me Carrie. My name's Carrie. So on this slide here, we did want to kind of have some clarity. There are different parties that are involved in this issue besides homeowners. What makes this issue especially messy, no pun intended, but there are many different parties, and it depends on how your cesspool will be converted as far as whose jurisdiction it is within. So the other parties that are involved in this issue are the Hawaii Department of Health, besides the county, and the homeowners. And I will add, we will have Jonathan Nagato from the Department of Health Wastewater Branch online for the Q&A at the end of our presentation. So the Hawaii Department of Health Wastewater Branch, they are in charge of reviewing and approving new individual wastewater systems. So that's at a household level, cesspools, septic tanks, aerobic treatment units. That's what the Hawaii Department of Health is responsible for. So they regulate and oversee all of these individual wastewater systems, or IWSs. They also implement financial aid related to individual wastewater systems. Hawaii County is responsible for their infrastructure, so they are supporting their constituents by developing a cesspool conversion plan. So that is what we are currently working on. That is what this outreach is for. This is the first round of outreach. We'll talk about the second round. So this cesspool conversion plan will help to provide a roadmap to homeowners, so you understand where the county may be able to extend their centralized sewer system to connect cesspools, and where they may not be able to reach, so you understand your options. The county also operates and maintains their treatment plants, their pump stations, and maintain their sewers. So that's what they are responsible for. They also plan and build new sewers, rehab their plants, and that is the plan. So, you know, what existing plants can handle additional flows, we'll talk more about that in the next round of outreach, but that is some of their primary responsibilities as far as the Department of Environmental Management. The Department of Planning and Permitting, also with the county, reviews and approves of new building permits. So when you make improvements to your homes, sewer connections, those types of things. But ultimately, complying with the state's cesspool conversion mandate, that falls upon you as the homeowner. So I just wanted to provide some clarity on some of the different parties involved. It makes this issue very challenging to navigate. That's part of what we want to talk about today.
Thanks, Carrie. Next slide. So what we'd love for you to have when you leave here today is a better understanding about cesspools and kind of, as Carrie laid out, who's responsible for what with the conversions. Also understanding of the importance of clean water. And we'd love to get feedback and input to help prioritize what resources the county has to support and protect water resources. And we will, throughout this engagement process, be sharing the county's roadmap on cesspool conversions, and we'll share with you how to stay engaged through the process. So today we are at that first dot, February, and the main focus of the what we'll be sharing tonight is around water stewardship, why we're eliminating cesspools, and overview of options to convert cesspools. There will be a second round of outreach in April, where we'll be dialing in on what your conversion option is for your specific location, as well as what financing and funding concepts are available. So I think we'd like to dive into water stewardship, and I'd like to invite Ray up to share a little bit more about that.
Hello, mahalo, Kristen. Aloha, everyone. My name is Ray, and I am here to talk a little bit about the shared kuleana that we have for our water resources. And I want to thank everyone so much for being here today for this really important topic. So we wanted to begin by recognizing the traditional Native Hawaiian system of natural resources management, which revolved around the ahupua'a and the management of resources from Moka to Makai, recognizing that what we do on land has an impact in our nearshore waters, and that we have an obligation to take care of those for future generations. So we also understand that there are cumulative impacts to water quality, and those include erosion, which can be driven by climate change, as well as chemicals in our stormwater runoff, and illegal dumping of both liquid and solid waste. Cesspools and failed wastewater systems contribute to the health of our waters. And actually, the fortunate thing is this is one thing we have control over. If we can collectively get a handle of the situation, we can together make a big impact on our environment. So what are cesspools? As many of you all know, they are really just an unlined hole in the ground. There's nothing, not a barrier between what is in there and the surrounding environment. So gravity will conduct its natural process and that material will work its way down, often into our groundwater and then sometimes to our rivers and out to our nearshore waters. So impacts are many, unfortunately. Cesspools are every day having an impact on our water resources, which include human health in areas such as gastrointestinal illnesses and skin infections, which I'm sure you folks are familiar with in surfers and paddlers. And they also impact our drinking water. And this is significant because over 90% of our drinking water comes from groundwater sources, which can be contaminated by cesspools. They also have environmental impacts as they can increase nutrients in the water, which can lead to algal blooms impacting our fish and our limu. And they impact our recreation as well as our ability to fish and swim in these waters and the overall health of the community, our environment, and in turn, our economy and our unique Hawaiian culture. So this slide gives a little bit of an idea about the problem that we have with cesspools. In total, we have about 88,000 cesspools statewide that are impacting our environment every day, discharging about 53 million gallons of untreated raw sewage into our environment. And the very sad thing is that almost half of those cesspools are here on Hawai'i Island. And the reason for that is because you could fit all the other islands of Hawaii into a Hawai'i Island and still have space. So the sad truth is that this is a very difficult situation for the whole state, but it is more difficult here where we need to come together to take action. The legislature recognized this in 2017 and they passed Act 125, which banned the further creation of cesspools and required that those cesspools be upgraded by 2050. This is probably in recognition of, again, our drinking water resources, which can be contaminated by cesspool waste, and in fact have been contaminated in some areas. Studies have shown the nutrients are popping up in areas where there are domestic wells where that water is being used. And so how can you help? First of all, thank you so much for being here. This is the big first step into turning the corner on this issue. You can also do other things to support the health of our resources, including composting or properly disposing of your food waste, picking up after pet waste, which does again lead to nutrients in our nearshore waters, dropping off toxic chemicals at a disposal center, avoiding using chemical fertilizers, using natural products instead, conserving water, and then most importantly, replacing your cesspool with a more reliable wastewater infrastructure that can make a much bigger difference for our environment. Mahalo, everyone. I would like to turn it over to Kristen at this time. Okay, I would like to take Carrie at this time. Mahalo.
Thank you. Okay, so I hinted at it that it's messy. There's different ways to convert your cesspools. I'm going to talk through the 3 ways to convert your cesspool. And what you also need to remember are there are also 3 major steps for each of these systems. So just kind of think of it as large, medium, small. But each of these ways, there's a collection step. So your sewage, your wastewater has to be collected from your toilet, your sinks, etc. Then there's a treatment step. Step number 2, the wastewater has to be treated to a level where it's safe to, step number 3, dispose of. So collection, treatment, and disposal. Each of these methods has those steps at different scales or sizes. So one way to convert your cesspool is to connect to an existing sewer or wastewater treatment plant. The next way is through a cluster system, a new decentralized plant, so kind of at a block level scale. And the third way is to an individual wastewater system or a technology that is approved by the Hawaii Department of Health at a household level. And we'll talk a little bit more about each step. So conversion option number 1, connecting to the counties or an existing sewer system. Another term for it is centralized system. Some of the considerations are your proximity to the existing collection system or a future collection system if the county is going to extend their system. So they need to think about the feasibility of extending their system. The county is also taking into account through this plan, the available capacity at their wastewater treatment plants. So what additional flows, how many other cesspools can be connected to their system that can be handled by their plant. And then, of course, costs. There are costs to build the new sewers, costs to upgrade plants if it's needed, and that can have impacts to the sewer fees. And I should have pointed out the graphic to the right, there is a map of the existing county wastewater treatment plants. So if you can think about your location relative to those, that'll give you a hint as well. So let's talk about the benefits and challenges of this conversion option of connecting to the county sewer system. The benefits are there's potential to reduce potable water use and increase recycled water use if recycled water is an end use at the centralized wastewater treatment plant. There's also excellent environmental protection. County's wastewater treatment plants and system is heavily regulated by the Hawaii Department of Health as well as the Federal Environmental Protection Agency. There's also the potential for rapid conversions. So if the county can extend their sewer system, pick up whole blocks, whole neighborhoods, it's possible to connect many cesspools. Also, as a homeowner, you will not have to operate and maintain your own mini wastewater treatment system, which you would have to do if it's an individual system. And then lastly, there's the potential to reduce the burden of the scope to the homeowner so that you're only responsible for your sewer lateral. So you would just connect to the county sewer. Some of the challenges of this option is the county would need to expand their sewer system. And there are costs to that, which can be significant. We'll talk a little bit more about costs later. But it is possible to finance and recover those costs over time, the county, as that is. And then another challenge that is not unique to the county, many agencies, wastewater agencies across the country are short on staff. Staff to implement the projects, to operate the pump stations or the treatment plants. So that's a challenge. The second option is connecting to a new or existing decentralized or cluster wastewater treatment plant. So this is the medium scale option. So this type of conversion is connecting a group of homes. Just for conversation's sake, we'll say it's about 50 to several hundred. There's just a certain size where it makes sense to build such a system. It's a smaller version of a centralized wastewater treatment plant, but a larger version of an on-site or individual wastewater system. And some of the considerations are the cost of construction and sewer fees. And so for this option, you still need collection, treatment, and disposal. Next slide. So some of the benefits and challenges of this option. Again, you have that potential to reduce potable water use and increase recycled water. So you can treat the water to a very high level where it's safe to reuse for certain purposes that is also highly regulated, excellent environmental protection, highly regulated system. Again, there's the potential for rapid conversions. You can pick up, and you can convert cesspools from a whole block. And homeowners will not have to operate and maintain your own wastewater system. Similar to the previous option, there's the potential to reduce the scope and the burden to homeowners. All that you're responsible for is building that sewer lateral. And this option can broaden the range of funding opportunities for a decentralized system. Some of the challenges are you need to get your whole neighborhood on board. Right, I mean, you want all your neighbors, everyone that has a cesspool that's nearby has to be on board with the solution for it to make sense. There are costs for planning, designing, permitting, all the environmental studies that need to be done for a new system such as this. And there's also a need for licensed and skilled operators. So once you have a new plant, you need the licensed operators to operate that plant. so you don't have to. There are land and space requirements. You've got to find a site for the new treatment plant. That can be tough at times. The third option is to convert to a Department of Health approved on-site system. So this is the small version of conversions. And this will need to stay on the table for many cesspool owners. So for this option, you still need a licensed engineer to help you determine your conversion options and your system options, because there are many, many technologies out there, even at an individual wastewater system level. Includes septic tanks, aerobic treatment units, but other technologies are out there as well. There are regulations for this. What I'm showing there in parentheses, Hawaii Administrative Rules 1162, that outlines many regulations for individual systems regulated by the Department of Health. And you'd need to submit an application for each system that DOH would review and approve. The regulations have some of the typical lot size requirements because you have to have room for collection, treatment, and disposal on your lot. So some of the benefits and challenges of an on-site or individual wastewater system: potentially lower construction costs. It's better than cesspools. Not a whole lot depending on the technologies that you use, and it might depend on your proximity to sensitive waters, near shore areas, drinking water sources. You might still need a high level of treatment depending on your location. Another benefit is you don't have to get additional land as long as you can fit it all on your lot, right? Unlike the other two options. There are relatively fewer permitting requirements compared to the other options. And as a homeowner, you can demonstrate your environmental stewardship. Some of the challenges are now you as a homeowner are responsible for operating and maintaining your own mini wastewater system on your lot. And the costs must be borne by the homeowner, and financial support is needed by many for this option. The owners, you still must hire a licensed engineer to design your system, and a contractor. And there is environmental risk because the effluent is directly discharged into the ground. And it is still a regulated system by the Department of Health, but it's just a different level of risk. Okay, this is the tougher slide here. Let's go. Costs. Okay, so how much does a cesspool conversion cost? It's messy. It depends on the conversion method. So I've got some numbers here. I want to caveat these numbers and ranges. They are just ranges. It's a very site-specific number. So what it's going to cost for you is what the contractor tells you this is what it's going to cost. So we have a range of roughly $30,000 to $70,000 for an individual wastewater system conversion. Okay, could be more, it could be less. Some numbers here for sewering. So this is from the Puna facility plan. Mayor mentioned it a little bit earlier. The estimated costs range from $4 billion to $11 billion in capital cost for the different sewering alternatives. That's just for Puna. So there's significant costs. I know we're gonna have time for Q&A. We'll talk more about these costs there, I'm sure. Okay, there are future plans for financial support. We'll talk about ways that you can all get involved to help push that forward as well. But Hawaii County is exploring grant and low interest loan options for county projects. That's what they can control right now, okay? So they're looking at federal funding opportunities and prioritizing high priority cesspools and those that are financially burdened. There are also state financial support programs. I'll repeat, we expect to have Department of Health on the line for Q&A as well to talk more about that. There is a wait list that was filled for a current $20,000 Department of Health grant program. They had rolled that out, it was last year. And there are other programs to be determined. We'll share a little bit more about what we know about bills in the current legislature.
Thank you, Carrie. All right, you did the hard work. Now I'm just gonna tell you how to stay engaged. So today, we have our first round of public engagement, but we'll also have an additional round in April. And at that time, we will have available maps that show the conversion options. So those three that she just went through, you'll be able to see on a map which areas will have which options. As well as there'll be another level of information around costs at that time. We also have a few more meetings in this public engagement first round. So we are here at East Auntie Sally's. But then we'll also have two more meetings, one at South and one North on February 27th and February 28th. And if you're interested in sharing more information or providing more comments, if you aren't able to share tonight, there's an email here up top. And then also you can follow along on the website with where things are with the plan. So maybe we'll hold this for a minute in case folks need to take a picture. Okay. Oh, yeah, I want to grab one. Go ahead. We can write that down and let you know how we can manage that. But yeah, we'll take anyone's emails and send updates, I believe. Okay, next slide. Oh, you can go next slide. Oh, yeah. Okay, so before we jump into more discussion, we did want to share there are a lot of bills right now at the state legislature around cesspool conversion. This list is very long and there's a lot of text, so I am not going to read it all to you. But just some of the things that they're looking to do involve changing the timelines for the different cesspool conversions, so moving up some of the deadlines, making sure transient accommodations upgrade their cesspools first, looking at systems near the shore, having a higher quality of treatment, for instance. You can go to the next. Also, piloting grant programs for funding cesspools. So I would imagine that one could use some support. And let's see, some of the others include position support for Hawaii Department of Health, who's the implementing agency for some of the cesspool work. They're also very understaffed. So that HB 1894 is to provide them more staff. Next slide. So if you haven't been involved in state legislature and providing testimony before, there's a QR code here you can scan, kind of a quick tips on how to do that. You want to include the bill number, your name, you want to address the committee chair and the members, and then state clearly right at the top of your email or letter if you support or oppose. Then it's important to kind of share why. So introduce yourself and your organization, if there's an organization, summarize the reason, provide facts or tell a story, try to keep it short and thank the committee for the opportunity to testify. So a lot going on in cesspools right now at the legislature. Oh, okay. I think we have some duplicates. Oh. Sorry.
So this is just another link to another website. There's some really good information here if you do want to become active in some of this legislature process. If you have the time, I encourage you to check out this website.
Okay. So now is the time we want you to get involved. Go ahead, next slide. So if you could scan this QR code, it'll take you to a survey that we'd love to hear from you. Which community do you live in? What are your top 3 concerns about cesspool conversion? What do you think the environmental benefits are? Is there anything else you'd like to share? And here you go, please share your email address or contact information if you would like updates about the future meetings. There are also paper copies here. So if you would like a paper copy and didn't get one at the door, just go ahead and raise your hand. And I'll bring those around. And then I'll pass it to Adrian to share about our other engagement activity.
Hi, everyone. Some of you may have already gotten a preview of this game. So we have 6 boxes in the back. Each of them represent each item here. We're hoping to get your input to help us gauge which aspects of cesspool conversion are most important to you and your community. Basically, what are your top 3 concerns? And that will help us gauge future outreach efforts also. You'll each be given 3 tickets, and then you can vote for your top 3. Feel free to put more tickets in a box if that matters more to you. And if you have some more time, there's also a map activity for the large map posted in the back. We have different colored stickers to represent what type of wastewater system you have, a cesspool, septic tank, or aerobic treatment unit, or if you're on sewer or you're not sure. So you can take a colored sticker and post it on the map to represent where you're from. And we'll be around, so if you have any questions, let us know. Thank you.
And so we'll just take probably 10 minutes for everyone to do these engagement activities, and then we'll come back and dive into Q&A. So maybe right around 6, we'll come back and discuss any questions. Mahalo.
You want to say? Yeah. Oh, wait, yeah, direct message is right here, so.
Hello, everyone. If you haven't already participated, one of our staff members is handing out all of the red tickets. Those are to put in the little ballot boxes in the back. So please stretch your legs, get up and put your tickets in the boxes. Hey, aloha, everyone. So go ahead and finish up doing the activity, but we would also like to open the floor to questions. There is a mic right in the back of the room here at the center table. And I did also want to introduce, hold on, let me bring the music down. Okay, sorry about that. I did also want to introduce John from the Department of Health, who's with us remotely, and just test out if he can hear us. John, you want to go ahead and say hello and just introduce yourself?
Hi, good evening. This is John. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Thanks, John. Okay, wonderful. Do you want to just share your position, and then we'll come to you with some of the questions when they're directed towards Department of Health.
Sure. Like I said, John Nagato, Department of Health, Wastewater Branch. I'm the acting branch chief, and thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Thanks, John, for joining us. Okay, so the mic is live in the back there, I believe. And we have our first question. Is it live?
Yes. Test. Hi, John. John, yeah? Sorry, John, where are you?
Oh, sorry. John.
Oh, hi, John.
Hi.
My question is, when was the last time that water quality testing was done in Puhi Bay, in Keaukaha, or where the fallout area is for the sewer system? I literally just took 31 preschool children to Puhi. Oh, hello? To Puhi Bay today, and I just want to know where that is. The last time that I ever saw a sign that talked about a water advisory, it was in an area that is not seen by the public that frequents Puhi Bay, and having gastrointestinal problems, having severe body illnesses, even having to cut off limbs is a normal occurrence due to sewage fallout to that area. And I am a resident of Keaukaha, and I have been my whole life. And so this is something that really matters to me, and that's why I couldn't put a ticket in the box, because that's not something that's there. And it's really baffling to me that we're over here playing a game of what matters most to you, and it's all things that doesn't seem like it's inconsequential when you think about the health of people that live in that area, that have been living in that area. So do you by chance know when the last water quality testing was done in that area?
Thank
That's
you
a
for your,
great question.
go ahead, John.
That's a great question. I don't have the answer because I work for the wastewater branch, and although you would assume we work with the outfall, the cutoff for the two branches. So I work in the wastewater branch, and there's a clean water branch. The clean water branch deals with the wastewater treatment plants that have outfalls that go into bodies of water, and then they're governed by national pollutant discharge emissions permits. So elimination permits. So that would be something that if maybe Kristen can give you my email address, and then you can give me the specifics of your question, the location, I can put you into contact with the people that regulate the outfalls. We at the wastewater branch are in charge of things that go into the ground.
You're in charge of things that go into the ground?
Mm-hmm. The treatment plants, the individual wastewater systems, the cesspools that discharge directly into the ground, and then they make their way through the ground geology, and then make way to the ocean. But things that directly discharge into bodies of water, in Hawaii, we don't discharge except for one location on Oahu. They usually go to the ocean.
Okay, so I have a question that has to do with discharge that goes into land, is that correct? That's what you deal with?
Sure.
Okay, so my question is, how much is there more damage done by when there is an overflow in a septic tank? Because as I believe it, the feces and all of the bodily fluids get taken out of that, but there are times where there's the fluid that is in this septic tank that also overflows and also leaches into our aquifers. So my question is that, how is that better for our aquifer than for there to just be feces in our aquifer, as opposed to feces and the solutions that overflow and leach out of these septic systems?
Thank you for that question. So I might pass it to Carrie, unless John, do you want to take that first, or should we pass it to Carrie?
I think Carrie can handle that one, but I'm here if you have any follow-up.
Okay, great. Carrie, would you like to share?
I'll repeat the question, make sure I understood it correctly. I think you're asking, maybe how much better is a septic tank versus a cesspool, level of treatment wise, is that?
I'm asking what the difference in pollution to our aquifer is between bodily fluids versus body fluids and all the different chemicals that are not, I'm gonna guess, naturally occurring to our aquifer, because I care about our aquifer, because I care about water for not just us, but 7 generations from now and their 7 generations.
Okay, I think I'm struggling to comment on the chemical issue, but there's many different types of chemical pollutants. So, but even within our own bodily waste, that, you know, drugs we take, that still goes through us. There's also nutrients. So with a cesspool, that all goes into the ground. You know, chemicals you dump into your sink, all that all goes into the ground with a cesspool. With something like a septic tank, it's at least lined, so the solids will settle out, but you're right, the liquids also go into the ground. So whatever is not captured in the solids does go into the ground. So there is harm that can be done to the environment. It depends on kind of what level of treatment happens even within the ground, but some of that does get into the groundwater, near shore waters, etc.
Thank you, and I guess I express this concern because I've literally been swimming my whole life in all of Hilo's and whoever else's species come out through the sewer plant. And so I feel like I'm already swimming in my own cesspool, and so I don't see why people in Hawaii Island have to upgrade if literally me, and now that, you know, all of East Hawaii pretty much goes to Kilka'a to swim in the cesspool. I don't know if anyone's driven in Kilka'a this afternoon, it literally smells like feces. And so that's why I'm confused as to why there's this push towards septic when literally we're swimming in feces. So that's my concern. And also, whoever can make the connection between the people that are responsible for things that are falling out into the area that I swim in, I feel like it should be mandated that the signage when there is water quality testing be put in areas where people actually frequent. Because if this is Puhi Bay, to see the sign about don't go into Puhi Bay, you have to go behind the whole fence, past the puhala to where the fallout area is. And no one's gonna go there. You have little babies, you have old, elderly people that are going there for leisure, that, you know, may have other problems, immune system problems, thinking that they're fine. But lo and behold, there's all kinds of bacteria in the water that was released because we're swimming in all of Hilo's species, and we don't know because we can't even see the site. So can whoever it is that can let someone else know, Mayor, can we please have signage so that the public knows when it's not safe to swim?
I think the signage is a really good question. I'm gonna try to answer this probably in a little bit different way to the question, because I heard the question is when they're letting it out of the wastewater plant into the ocean versus going into the cesspools going into the ocean. I know that, and someone from our wastewater can talk about this, that they have EPA guidelines and they check, I think, every day the discharge, or no? Okay,
Please make it every day and please make the research available to the public.
but there's another thing that I understand, a lot of places in Keaukaha also run cesspool versus tied into a tank. Or excuse me, into the water line going to the wastewater treatment facility. I'm gonna ask Ramsey, maybe we can just talk real quickly about how often they're checking and what their check levels are.
As far as the Hilo waste treatment plant, our sewer line is about less than a mile into the ocean. So we obligated to measure the outflow. But as far as the cesspool that currently exists, it's the homeowner responsibility to maintain these individual cesspools. And that's the reason we going through this exercise. The state passed the law, which is Act 125, to convert current cesspools into a septic tank or ATU, which is aerobic treatment unit, which the homes near the shoreline, they should provide a better treatment. They either need to connect to a sewer treatment plant through a sewer collection system, or they need to install a high level treatment to avoid what you just talked about. On a septic tank, even if it's a conversion, it's approved conversion based on current regulations. If the conversion to be a septic tank, then the homeowner will be responsible to maintain that septic tank so it doesn't overflow. Because I heard you say if a septic tank overflows, it's gonna spill. So the overflow septic tank become the homeowner responsibility because it's in either your backyard or your front yard because it's not connected to a municipality such as the county.
I think one of the question I think that she's really getting at is the tests that we do, and then if there's a spill, what the county does. If you can maybe talk about that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to cover. The county does testing for the outfall. The Department of Health and responsible for the nearshore line and Department of Health, John could talk about it. They're the one who performed the testing on the shoreline. I think we just took a test yesterday, right? And that test gets shared with our department. But usually as our department, we don't test shorelines. It's we test the outfall because that's our discharge point from the county point of view.
Thank you. So I want to get your information and I will get to Department of Health to inform what their testing frequency is of that particular location. And then we will also share the comment that more testing is needed there. And I definitely hear what you're saying about the concern with and signage, with the concern of the placement of the signage. So I'll provide that feedback to Department of Health and pass it on to those folks.
Thank you, but please make it known that I'm not asking for a response via email to myself. I'm asking for some type of education for the public. People who are on social media, in the newspaper, something that will reach the whole public. Because teenagers aren't reading newspapers and elderly aren't reading Instagram. And their health is important. And all of Hilo, all of East Hawai'i goes to Keaukaha. I live in Keaukaha. I've been in Keaukaha. I have not gone swimming in Keaukaha or taken my kids before COVID. And people are baffled as to why, but it's because I know that happens. Also, this fallout being a mile out, Keaukaha literally means turning currents. Doesn't matter that the fallout is a mile out. What follow where the fallout goes? Figure out where it goes, because 1 mile out is nothing. When literally, why did Keaukaha not get wiped out the tsunami? Because we have changing waves, changing currents. But it's still right there, and because of that, not just where the fallout is affected, the whole coast is affected. And everyone here should be pissed if you ever go to the ocean, or if your grandchildren go to the ocean. Because especially if you have a newborn baby, there's no medication for someone that's a newborn baby. Thank you, so please make it written that there is this health issue, and so that they're not paying to go to the hospital and losing limbs and children being sick for no reason. That's the problem. I think that's more important than we all have to switch to a different system right now. I think that is the.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say something between the school and the the Big Island, and he was drilling for water. And when he found out that we had Hawaiian homes in Paneva, he said, girl, you folks will have a lot of blue rock. And I'm like, what is blue rock? But anyway, in building the home, the contractor, his intent was just to go 10 feet down, but he couldn't because of all the blue rock. So he went down another 40 feet down, then it was. So I have an everlasting successful, and it's like, when I heard about the conversion, I mean, I'm in my 70s, and it's like, okay, I need to see this. And that's why I'm here.
Mahalo, we are so grateful for you being here, in fact, and everyone, and you tell a very important story, just like the person behind, or in front of you earlier. Blue rock is a huge challenge across the state, and for some homeowners, it means they're gonna have to pay 3 times as much money to convert their cesspool as somebody else who just has regular soil in their backyard. And so I'm glad that you are bringing this up. It is something that has been discussed in the past, but there's right now a disparity in even the cost of conversion, depending on where you are in Hawaii and the conditions underneath your home. And so it's something I know that operators are looking at together. There's so many different parts of the cesspool conversion process. And I hope that that is something that we can speak to in our second round of engagement for homeowners with different conditions. You know, what are the options? Who are the specialists? How can we make this a more fair process for everyone? Thank you so much for bringing that up.
It's like, you know, if there was a way that I, as a homeowner, can be grandfathered in, because, you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say, hey, your cesspool is everlasting doodle. You know, 10 feet and then going down another 40 feet.
Yeah, that's another good point, that the point of cesspool conversion, the urgency of it is the idea that this material is moving to our water, whether it's our drinking water or our nearshore water. And so if there are homeowners where it's like absolutely geologically certain that the blue rock is capturing everything, that it's not going anywhere, that's another issue that needs to be brought up, because perhaps there should be an exception for people who are not impacting the environment if the purpose of the conversion is to protect the environment. And so I'm so glad that you said that.
Thank you for holding this meeting and answering questions. This may be jumping to the next meeting. Let's see, so you can do cesspools, you can't do those anymore, or septic tanks or sewers. I'd like to know about some alternatives, to address like the problems the previous speaker was talking about. If you could describe home aerobic units, subsurface and recirculating sand filters, natural systems, compost or incinerator toilets with gray water system, and other individual wastewater systems. So could you talk a bit about alternatives to just the few that we have in mind at this point?
Thank you. Yes, Carrie, you want to speak to that one? And just to repeat the question, it's share more about the cesspool conversion alternatives that we haven't heard about. Thank you for your question.
So that's a very good question. There are many different technologies that can be used at all scales. So your question at the individual wastewater system scale, residential scale, you mentioned a few. There's composting toilets, incinerating toilets, septic tanks, aerobic treatment unit. I know you asked how that works. It's essentially you're bubbling air through the wastewater to promote biological activity. So you get a little bit more treatment than a septic tank. So there's many different technologies. I will share, there's also a report posted to the Hawaii Department of Health wastewater branch website that lists some of the different on-site treatment technologies that are at different levels of approval. They may be approved by the state. They may be, the state has to evaluate the technology before it can be used, but it's an emerging technology. There's a lot of research in this area. So there's lots of on-site systems, especially in rural America on the mainland. So there are many options out there. Can't get into every single one, but there's some good information on that. We can talk more later. I can try to get the website up here as well.
Thanks, Carrie. Next question.
Aloha, thank you very much for having this event. Congratulations to the mayor and Ramsey for the progress that you've made on the wastewater treatment plant. We knew when Ramsey showed up that things were going to start to happen, so. My question is about microplastic pollution. I noticed when you listed the impacts or the concerns or the benefits from this, you didn't mention microplastic, nanoplastic pollution. So the number one source is exterior latex paint. Number two source, tire abrasion. Number three source of microplastic pollution is washing polyester clothing. So everybody that's hooked up to the sewer system and they're washing their polyester clothing, that's all going down. It's going to go into the wastewater treatment plant. My question is, Ramsey, did you think about that? Do you have a plan in mind for capturing that nanoplastic and microplastic pollution so it's not going up into the environment? Thank you.
So Ramsey, microplastic and nanoplastics.
That's a good question. And current technologies, and I guess Dr. Ashida could add to that answer if the current technologies could extract these type of product out of the water. I know pharmaceutical also is a challenge because that stuff could pass through our body into the water as well. I remember Orange County about 10 years ago, they did study to figure out the impact of these pharmaceutical going into the ocean. And they were taking samples of the fish, try to see the impacts and what have you, but the current technologies does not allow for that particular filtration of the effluent itself to extract all these out of the water, because like you said, nanoplastic. I mean, you cannot, I mean, the size of the nanoplastic in the water, it tried to extract it even during the recycling solid waste aspect of things. As we recycle plastic bottles or manufacturing of these plastic bottles, they came up with the technology that could extract microplastic out of the air as a curtain that could extract it. But like I said, technologies are improving. If there's a will, there is a way. The microplastic, nanoplastic is something that a lot of people pay attention to recently, within the last probably just less than 5 years, that became the front topic for the solid waste. And the wastewater has not caught up with it, but eventually, if there is technology that could be implemented, that's probably could go quite the distance.
Yes, so there are ways to treat for microplastics. I will say that they are considered emerging contaminants of concern. We're still learning a lot about them, what they are, how they work in combination sometimes. There's a lot of research going on in this field. We do know that there are some treatment technologies that we use today that can treat them. There are also many sources of them. So it's in our wastewater. It can also be in stormwater. So, the good thing about wastewater is it is regulated. So, we can measure it. We can see what's there. Stormwater, we don't know. So it's a very challenging subject. It's a big field of research. It is a concern because we don't know what all these different chemicals can do. We don't know what doses have impacts. You've probably heard the term PFAS. That's a recent emerging contaminant of concern. There's a lot of research and new regulations that are going into place for something like PFAS. It is a concern. There's a lot of work being done in this field. Still learning.
Thank you. Yes, next.
Aloha. Mahalo for holding this meeting. I am very baffled by the cost and really want to urge everyone working on this to look towards an equitable transition for this. I'm thinking about new homeowners, like young people that are trying their best to stay here, actually everyone, trying their best to be able to stay, live in Hawaii, and we're looking at like a spouse has to go back to work, someone's yearly income to be able to provide for this transition. I also urge to look into those communities that have already been impacted by this for decades. And also looking at communities that haven't, like communities that are already on septic, what are they paying? Like, what's the cost that they're sharing for this for our entire community? And especially Kilkaka, and though that community in particular, because most of them are gonna have to transition off of cesspool to septic, and they've been living for decades with this issue. So not to like pinpoint one community, but if there's one, please look at Kilpa'a and Pun'ewa and those descendants, because this is gonna push a lot of us out of Hawaii.
Oh, thank you so much for your comment.
When this first came out, we tried to get the head of the Department of Health in Oahu to come talk to the people, some professionals, because the act itself scared a lot of people. And I'm trying to make sure that there's no grandstand here because I know how hard your job is. But I think most people here in Hawaii, we've been fighting the cost of building a home. And when officials come to a public meeting and slap a $30,000 bill more to your home, I know that's rounding off. I think you know what I'm saying. What I'm asking for, and what we wanted to meet with the Department of Health years ago on this, to meet with the county officials and the public in regards to reviewing what the problem is, and to seek out all the alternatives. And to come to this meeting and see only two alternatives, septic tank or latch out to a system, all of it very costly. I ask of you as politely as I can to make sure that you know how difficult this job is. That we step back a minute. 20 years, 25 years is a long ways from today. Hopefully by then technology will be much better than two options. I ask that you meet with the local officials to see if you can pursue at this point various options to look into and spend the money there instead of the billions that will cost, I think, 25 years from now, archaic. I need to explain, and I'll end here, the fear that this put into people's mind. I'll talk to you about one issue only, which you try to build up with Department of Health. And this was years ago when this first came on. If you identify only two systems of options, it's a septic tank and hook on to a system. When that came out, we stated, we have a huge island. We have people, for example, on the southwest side of the island, mainly Hawaiian Ocean View Estates, Ranchos, those areas above north of South Point, that have no water. They're miles from the ocean. There is no groundwater system below them, Hawaiian Ocean View Estates, over 9,000 individual lots. Why should we impose something like $20, $30, $40, $50,000 to these people who a lot of them is just trying to build a place? Because there is nothing there that will contaminate a groundwater, because there is none. I ask of you who have the hardest job to maybe step back a little bit and feel what we have a feeling here of cost. And see what other options are to spend money on pursuing options for the public. Thank you for your work.
Thank you, mahalo. Just checking, John from Department of Health, did you want to add anything? Or should we go to the next question? He's not in the room, so just give me space for him.
I can just say something, and I'm sure my answer will not make anybody feel any better, but it is a tough situation. There is probably no answer, and all I can say right now is working with the County of Hawaii like this, and working with the other counties. We're on the state side, we are on the regulation side. We're tasked to kind of carry out this legislation that the state put forth to with intentions of protecting the environment. But I am new to this current position, but I will say in the past month, going down to the legislature and hearing these new bills that was brought up in the presentation, from the limited time that I've seen, it is scary. And I can say at least I see they're trying to make adjustments. It's not a perfect system. They're trying to hear. I do think that through the departments, through the counties, through your legislators, they are listening, and I do see legislators, speaking up for their communities on why and what needs to be done or can be done. And then there's a lot of there for the wastewater branch specifically. I could say we have 30 plus bills that we're managing and testifying on, and trying to make sure that what they're saying in the bills are helping people, not hurting people. A lot of it is financial question. That is the big one, as the financial side and the scientific side, making sure that all these prioritization areas are what you said in the cesspool working group and the report and everything. So, like I said, I probably don't have the answer for you that you want to hear today, but it is being looked at, it is being asked again, and yeah, we do have to find those new technologies, and we do have to find financial solutions for the people, because it is a very, very big burden. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Next question.
Aloha mai. Terry Napiahi. I am a resident at Keaukaha and Panaewa. I just wanted to let all those who do not know the history of this wastewater treatment plant. It's been in my life for over 50 years. It was the inception of this water treatment plant was put in our community in Hawaiian homelands, the only shoreline that we own, shoved down our throats. We had no say with the outfall that is out there. So I just want to give you a quick history so that you all know that we've been talking about this several administrators, through several administration. Mayor Kim has been to many of our meetings in Keaukaha for the very reason we're all talking about the SOAR about what's presently occurring now. Health issues on the shoreline, bleaching of coral, testing in Keaukaha shoreline. Who's responsible for testing? We did all that. I did research on all that. I know who tests the outfall. I know who's responsible for testing the shoreline. We all have that information. We also know the thresholds that is in place by EPA and Department of Health. We know the threshold numbers that makes it safe for your wastewater treatment plant to emit into our shoreline, our ice box, because that's what we traditionally did. We ate from that shoreline. So when asking, how is the testing being done? You only have one Department of Health water quality person to check the whole entire island. We've done legislation to see if they can have another one so that they can test properly our shoreline. We know all of that. What we wanted to know was, did you come up with other alternatives? That was asked 20 years ago. Then while we were asking this, they came up with a legislative bill, 125, that in 50 years, everybody has to get off cesspool and either get into a municipal system or septic. Well, where does it get treated? Everybody's septic is going to be treated in front of Keaukaha in that outfall. So we talked about that. We talked about the current problems that we're going through now with this one wastewater treatment center. We talked about that. Decades of the cumulative impacts that this wastewater treatment has had on a group of people. Hawaiians, because that's where we live. Now, I'm not going to make it a racial issue, but it's just obvious that legislation through the county just made DHHL pay for the pipes that is going to hook up our Keaukaha people. My question is, why? Why do we have to pay again? Why do we have to pay again and again and again
Try the button on the side.
Why do we have to do this again and again? Make us pay for the cumulative impact that our families have had to endure for decades since the inception of this wastewater treatment plant. He knows, he's been to our, what is it gonna take? A court case? Because I know the thresholds that you use to say it's okay to put 80% of your affluent waters into our ocean. Which means 20% is raw sewage and not treated. Our kids swim in there. Now, how many of you know the increase of people that have had MRSA, staph, within the last few years? Tracy Wiegner, where is she? Tracy, my hero, who has done studies on the staph and MRSA counts in the shoreline. Really bad. I don't know about you, but it's pretty bad. Now, we ask, why don't we get the funding to help the health of our shoreline? And this is what I'm told by our university professors. It's because our shoreline is not pristine. It's already damaged. So why don't you talk about restoration? So this is what I'm talking about. Why do we have to pay for the sewer pipes that our people are forced to go onto since the laws were passed by EPA? Is it gonna take a lawsuit? Because I have the numbers. And cumulatively, it's not looking good. Especially when you don't have thresholds that follow the nutrient levels that you don't look at, which is causing the health issues to our families here. So, alternatives, do you have them?
Yes. So, I started off talking about, we will be putting in more money to fix our wastewater systems than anything else in our administration. Starting off with, our biggest project is the Hilo wastewater treatment plant. That thing will probably cost, just a number to throw out there, over $200 million. That's a lot of money for one plant, but that is our, that is our kuleana to make sure that it gets done. And that, we've decided, we'd love to build parks. Everybody loves parks and stuff. But we need to fix what we have right now. And as far as 20% affluent going out to the ocean, that's not correct. That all of the affluent is treated 100%. There are
No,
a little.
that's not true.
Well, it's treated. I know there's parts per million when they do the outflow that they're looking at. I don't know, Ramsey, do you know what the parts? Hang on 1 second here. I'm gonna ask Ramsey. What comes out of the?
Yeah, it depends. Yes.
That you can drink it.
Right.
I dare you to
Yes.
drink it.
Okay, there's a few things here, let me just make correct. Your location is most of it on that pertaining to that sewer line that Department of Hawaiian Homeland is building. They're building to convert the current cesspool within your community into the sewer line so it could come to the Hilo treatment plant, because for years, you're right, for years, that community is being used in cesspools. So we got with the Department of Health and with the Department of Hawaiian Homeland, and we pushing the Department of Hawaiian Homeland to connect to the treatment plant. to get you guys off the cesspool. So currently, every house within that community owns cesspool. So the best treatment for it, instead of going straight down and to the ocean, collect it, take it back to the treatment plant, it's treated to the requirement compliance from EPA and Department of Health. So we are in compliance with the current regulations for treatment. So yes, we treat 100% all the flow that comes to the treatment plant. For you to make the statement, it's raw wastewater, it's not raw wastewater. It's a treated effluent to the level of reuse under the state Department of Health rules and requirements. So you're right. Maybe you're gonna pay, I guess Department of Hawaii and Homeland gonna pay twice because they need to bring the sewer collection and get you off the cesspool, connect you so we could get your flow and be able to treat it before it gets disposed to the shoreline.
I gotta stop you there, because I'm not arguing with you. I just know that that plant, I lived when the plant was at Puipe, where our university is right now, where they didn't have the processing that they do now. So I know that before it was just pushed into the ocean without the processing that you have now. So what I'm saying is that there are other processing plants that have 100% clean water that you can actually drink. So what I'm saying is that it is not clean to drink. Right now, as we speak, I know I've studied the threshold, standards. What I want to know is that as you increase the processing at this plant that is fatigued, old, needs work. Y'all knew that a long time ago. My goodness, 50 years ago, you knew this plant was fatigued and old. Okay? You knew that, but you weren't here because you're a new administrator. We've been through several. So I'm just kind of reiterating something that you should all understand. We know sewage. So what I want to know is it going to be better than the millions of dollars that you're going to pay to fix something that's already broken? That's what I'm asking.
No, we are, like the mayor said, he's committed. This administration is committed to fix the 50 years problem, because you're right, that plant was deteriorated. And thanks to Mayor Roth for taking it as priority number 1. And we are changing the process and the treatment. We're going to activated sludge, which is going to give us a better treatment for nitrification and denitrification process. So just to let you know, that treatment plan, once it's complete, you're going to have better quality on the effluent. The idea is to just continue using the cesspool within your community. It's doing more damage than connecting to the waste treatment. Just to let you know that. That's the reason we're trying to change it. And I think, what the mayor is doing and committing to spend that fund to upgrade that facility plan, what we doing for the cesspool conversion to give you options now rather than waiting to the 11:30, so you don't have to spend the money twice. So it's all about environmental protection costs. You could do it now. Today's dollar is not tomorrow's dollar. If you do it now, it's going to be cheaper to everyone than doing it later. So you're going to have options. Based on the current laws, we have to change 2,000 cesspool every year to be able to meet that deadline of 2050. Because we have here on this island 48,000 cesspool. To be able to be in compliant and to protect, I heard the comment is, if we don't have groundwater, why worry about it? Where do you think that's gonna go? It's gonna go to your shoreline. Everything is gonna drain from Maka to Makai. So maka to makai, so it's gonna drain into the ground and it's gonna make it to the shoreline. So just keep that in mind. We could argue not to do it and find way to continue with what we have, and we could hear comments about our shorelines, we cannot swim and what have you, or we take action as a community and get it right and fix it.
I'd like to give you the chance to speak back also, and then if folks can stick around, we'll take questions until 7.
Well,
I know this was till 6.
My last, and I know Rihanna knows me because I've been to the plant several times. I've had tours. I've seen how they do this. But what I wanted to also bring up was that there were grants that were done for studies on our shoreline. That was done by the university and Tracy Wiegner and Marie Haas, who is trying to rejuvenate and restore the health of our shoreline, which is important to us as Native Hawaiians because we eat from the shoreline. We swim at the shoreline. So it's very, very important for us to know that you're doing your best to take care of the current problems that we're experiencing now. And it obviously isn't because we've been going through this for decades. So I would like to just, present that you look at Tracy Wiegner's studies because she did come up with some studies for the very first time. It has never been done before. They had not had baseline data for our shoreline that they called damaged. So with that, she did a study. I asked her to do the study to see the terms between, or what is the impacts of the sewage plant and the sewage is just coming out from cesspools. So she has that data, but it makes it sound like all of Keaukaha is damaging our shoreline, which is not true. We've been there forever. Okay, so now you're gonna increase the sewage with chlorine that you do study, right? You have a threshold for that into our shoreline. So maybe you could get that damaged data from Tracy Wiegner so that you can understand how you're gonna move forward with this. But for us, an alternative is way better than your wastewater treatment plant. And it deserves to have the money you need to take better care of the people as opposed to thinking about money.
Thank you for that history and sharing that.
And I also want to thank everyone from Keaukaha who is here to speak, and I know the next speaker as well. It is important that everyone who is here and those fortunate people in Hilo who have a sewer system have to recognize that everything that gets flushed is going to one community who has disproportionately bear the burden of this alongside everybody else who uses the water. And so it is important to give attention to these issues, to hear these people. And I really appreciate you standing up for your ohana and being here today. I think that the mayor and the director of environmental management it's nice that they're here to hear this, and this needs to be a big part of the plan. Because I heard Terry say there is concern when the conversion means there's now more people on the wastewater treatment facility that is discharging into your bay. And I want you to know that we hear this, the team of people that are working on this, we hear this, and we are so grateful for you all.
Thank you. Thank you for hearing us. I don't feel heard. I haven't felt heard my whole life. I feel like I've been worried about the sewage going past me since I was 9 years old. I'm now 35 years old. Every day I think about cesspools. Every day I think about sewage. Every day, and so that's how much it matters to me. And my question that I jumped in line to ask is, do you know how much the county pays DHHL to use DHHL land to transfer waste, Pili, and back out into the ocean?
So the question is, do we know how much the county pays to use DHHL land to transfer waste? Is anyone on our team aware?
I'm aware.
Oh, well, please.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So when you want to talk about money, finances, anything like that, it's inconsequential. And there's so much back pay due. If DHHL was to block the sewage pipe today, what would happen? And here we are saying that, you know, I literally swim in feces. Also, I'm gonna have to pay for all these things. Also, auntie next door, that's 89, is also gonna have to do the same. Also, she has to pay taxes based on everyone else living in Hilo. And that, like, how do you expect this? I say, you can throw me any number and I don't care. Because back pay is due. If you're saying this is due to us, I'm gonna say this is due to you guys and you guys haven't paid. What needs to be done is what's been doing. Sewage has been passing through DHHL land in perpetuity since before I was born for $0. So don't come at us and tell us that we owe any kind of money to do any kind of infrastructure, something. I live on Pua, it goes through Pua. The sewage does not go past my house. Why aren't I on cesspool? Because it doesn't go past my house. I'm gonna have to pay to put in these pipes, but DHHL doesn't have to pay to put how much sewage through DHHL land. So I say, yes, hook us up. Yes, hook us up in perpetuity, pay for everyone on any DHHL land. If this is a thing that is statewide, every DHHL land that needs to have whatever you're saying we need needs to be paid for by state, by county, not by Hawaiians. Because why? Because it's been happening in perpetuity on our land for $0. There is massive money, resources, payback due, and it will never amount the same amount that is due to us. So make it for every parcel of land that needs to have some type of sewer infrastructure, something like that, because Hawaiians live there. But we get literally all the shit and you don't pay us for it. It's like, here, eat it. Here, eat it. Here, also, maybe you're eating all of the feces from all the cruise liners that come in and support the economy of Hilo. You know, we're not just sick of it, we need payback. So anything that has to do with any DHHL person, anything that has to do with Hawaiian lands, anything that's on Hawaiian lands that has to do with this type of thing, sewage, raw waste, you should not charge a Hawaiian for that. Infrastructure has to be made by company sending sewage through DHHO land for how long? Okay, how long? Over 50 years. If we charge you for every day that sewage has been sent through, and then at that, you know, make it to today's rates, you still owe us more money. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. I think we have time for one more question, and then I think some folks will stay around, so if you want to share more, and there's also comment cards as well.
Aloha. I promise I will be the last guy from Kyoka. It's the last question. You can stay here, so it's gonna be the last guy. But my question is, what you've heard about Kyoka and all of this came before me, it's just a frustration that we've had for over 50, 60 years. I'm 79 years old. I was born and raised in Kyoka. So I get little ideas of where this sewer thing was. And I left for about 25 years, and when I came back, it was full blown. But to Mr. Mansour, I heard you talk about these new digesters. The mayor talked about this new digesters model plan that you had. I didn't hear anything about, will there be a new outfall when you do that? Ramsey. Or maybe.
Yes, Carrie, do you want to take that? Mahalo for your question.
Yes, thank you for your question. So just the outfall is that pipe that takes the treated effluent into the ocean. There will not be a new outfall as part of this project. However, we will be rehabbing the chlorine disinfection.
Okay. Reason I ask is because we're gonna put a new plant, we're gonna keep the same old outfall that's leaking right now. Unless you guys can tell me it's not leaking, trust me, I get divers go out there every week. it's leaking. Okay, so that's for me. You guys don't wanna do something. And then, again, I'd like to go back to, the plant that's been there. What's the original plant in 1993 when it was built? My understanding, because I'm not an engineer, was that the capacity, and I heard Ms. Mansour mention the capacity. Right now, you may be pumping 2-3 million gallons a day. The capacity of that plant is bigger. We just did not have enough people using that. That's one of the reasons that plant fails a lot, because we did not have the capacity. You're going to now make the thing big, brand new, and I think the number was 5,000 new homes, the mayor mentioned, immediately can get on the system. But we just don't have immediately the sewer lines there to do that. Okay, you acknowledge that? So that's a concern that I have. Because I don't have 5,000 people in Kilka. I've got 420 homes. So to fill that up, that's me built out. So less than 500 homes, we're gonna be 4,500 short to do that. Okay, that's one. So again, but the affluent, when it gets treated, I don't dispute the engineers about the technology there, that what's going to be there. But when we have, with this old plant, why do the health department need to put those signs out there when there's a power outage? It's because we're getting sewer that's not properly treated, that's coming out the outfall. If you acknowledge that, I'm great. Okay, so those are the things that make me upset. See, when those a power outage, simple power outage, we couldn't you don't have something. What's the word they use? Redundancy. You know, when a power goes out, the generator is supposed to kick on. When that doesn't happen, we again in Huibe. I saw something from a high bacteria count advisory. Is that anybody here from that organization? So you're the individual that's, so we're using her technology. Why? Why don't we maybe help? Or her, I'm sorry, Terry, I think your name is Terry, or Tracy, I'm sorry. Terry meant call you Tracy, yes, I'm sorry. But you see, those are the types of issues that needs to be, because the beneficiaries are known, and I'll not end now, but is there anybody here from the Department of Hawaiian Homes? Hello? Again, that's the missing equation. See, the beneficiary is talking, but we have somebody that's supposed to take care of us, and they're not here. This is what really pisses me off. Okay, I can allow former Mayor Kim, because he has tried to help us. He came to the community. He tried incineration of trash. We said, hey, good idea. They told him up yours. Okay? So this is the types of things we've worked with Mayor Rob. There's a pilot project going on right now in Kilka. Okay? But it's dealing with 7 homes. 7 homes to bring, see if the sewer is going to work and what's going to cost to do that. I think that's on Dishi Avenue. But Kilka gets saddled with this. And with due respect from the county, who came to say, well, that's a capital improvement. 7 homes, capital improvement. You go do a pilot project, it's not a capital improvement. We like to see it work. That's all it is. You know, it's a pilot project. So do not come to me in the community and say a pilot project is a community, is a CIP thing. So you know what? Hawaiian Homes, county going to do this. They're going to be so magnanimous. They're going to provide the equipment. They're going to provide the manpower. Hawaiian homes, all you gotta do is pay for the material. What? Leave it alone then. Let the shit stay where it stay. You see, that's my attitude. You're only gonna do 7 homes. If you're gonna do the 420 homes, right on. But you like do 7 to see if one work? Please, we just need to get our heads together. And I'm gonna go and echo, which I normally don't do, is echo what former Mayor Kim did say. That's a lot of money. And if we're gonna put that kind of money into the ground, and you're gonna get the same results with an old outfall. And if there's a power outage back there, the redundancy, because I didn't hear what was going to happen in the redundancy. Because if that happens there, we're at the same place. What many of the people that spoke earlier don't realize, that's why when Terry does her work, the fecal chloroform at 4 miles, at Richardson, Waioli, the reason it's high there, because if it's coming out of the outfall, if it is, I don't know, but the currents take it there. During the winter months, the current runs the other way. It runs from the point Lele'iwi back to Hilo. But during the summer months, it runs from Hilo Bay out towards Lele'iwi and around to Puna. That's the currents. With due respect, Keokaha means passing currents. That's why the Native Hawaiians, our kupunas, did that. And I'm so glad you guys have now involved or included Mauka to Makai concept. Unfortunately, Keokaha is Makai. Where Mauka? Where all the homestead. You look at your own map. The biggest point of cesspools, the blue dots that I saw, was all up there, Mauka. And they're gonna come down to Keokaha about, the rationale was we were like, that we had smoke and dots far away. Over there was total blue. So Mauka Makai concept, yes. And we all know, and I'll close with this, shit flows down here. Thank you.
I think that was a beautiful way to end our formal comment period. I know a lot of people have other things to do this evening, so we are definitely way past time, and I really appreciate and mahalo everyone's sharing and the history and information. And we'll stick around to take any more questions in the room, as well as definitely make sure to leave your comment cards. Mahalo.